Here's what I'm doing is I'm a parent. I was again a collegiate athlete. So we're talking the same language. I'm just not just a parent. I'm a parent that went through and played at a very high level. But I am a parent that went through the recruiting process of a softball player. So we went through this process, and boy, was it a process. And then through this process, I had families just started coming to me like, hey, can you talk to me about what you did and how you did it? And so I'm like, sure, I'll help you. So then I answer questions, and we're kind of off answering questions and help. And then they're like, hey, that's great. I need more help with this? Sure, I'll go help you with this. So I go help with that. Well, then eventually we have more families coming. And then I'm like, okay, this is like there's like a lot happening here. And so then I started changing my focus and really just started helping families. And now I started a company because now I'm kind of getting hit with families of we have players and parents that, and I'm assuming all of us want to go on to play college softball. Am I right? Okay. Just making sure. You guys want to play, and this is a group effort. This is about the players and the parents. This it's all in here. So, but my goal is to help with that process because there's a lot of pieces that are going on, right? And so I want to alleviate stress and anxiety. I want to make this a process that's a good process, an enjoyable process, because it can get very overwhelming. And a lot of it has to do with, and again, we're at 16U. You're in prime time recruitment time. Like this is where we need to be going and doing. And there's things that have to be happening. No more, you're doing a lot of the softball stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that. That's happening, but there's a recruitment stuff that has to be happening and matching what you're doing to get to where you're going. Now, there's multiple levels of softball. So I am not going to say that everyone has to be Division I or bust. Absolutely not. No way. There are so many levels within playing. So just to play past high school is unbelievable. Only about 8% move on past high school. That's it. That's as far as they go. So there's this 8% that gets to go on at whatever level that it is. So whatever level that it is, that's fantastic. We got to find the right level for you and find the right team. And so that's what it gets to is, where do I fit in this whole thing? There's opportunities. It's just a matter of finding it and finding your right fit. And you'll see, with being an Angel, let me tell you this, being an Angel is special. You have already given yourself this edge because you're an Angel now. Because of what the players have done before you, have provided a foundation and a platform for you to be on here, for then you to then keep moving forward. And kind of like passing the baton. You're passing the baton, but you can never forget about the players before you and then what you're leaving as you move forward through the process. So you have to understand that. It's special. Having an organization like this is special. I know this because we played for the AI Bandits Breer on the west side, the Washington Lady Hawks. I drove Crimson from Spokane to Seattle for 3 years. Insane. And I did that thing, and that was awesome. And then at 14U, she came here and did not play 16U. She leaped right from 14 to 18 on Bob's team. So we made the leap, and she was with Bob for 3 years. Best decision she made in her whole entire life because of what Bob stands for and the coaching staff and what they are doing for you, not just as a softball player, but as a person. That's what they're doing for you. So you have to understand that and know that they're trying to get you to finding the right home for you, but it's a lot. And that's where I come in. I help players try to find where they belong in this, because I'll tell you this, playing softball, having the opportunity is huge. Being a collegiate athlete will set you up for your whole entire life when it comes to just where you're going to go, what you're going to do. It's amazing, and that's going to set you up. So we want to make sure that you understand that, okay? And I have this in the sheet there. So we have a player-parent level of understanding and commitment during the softball process. So we have no understanding and commitment level to full understand commitment level. We've got and then everything in between. So what do I mean by that is we've got kind of parents who, again, I understand parents are parents. Parents are busy. They've got so many, they're working. They've got so many things. It's hard to kind of carve out time to help with recruiting when it's like, sometimes they don't have a background like myself. They don't know where to start. They want to help you, but they don't know, and players don't quite know. So we have kind of the spectrum of, I don't know. I know that I want to go play college, but I don't know what to do. And then I have full understanding, and I kind of have it like they got it under control. Like You got players and parents that just understand the process, know what to do, and they're going after it. But you can see where I fit into my why. I have a large group because we have such a variety of things happening within everyone's recruitment journey and understanding of how this process works. So my goal is to meet them where they're at. I meet them where they're at in the recruiting journey, and then we figure out, and your journeys are going to be different. Every single one of your journey is going to be different. That's why there's not like a cookie cutter, like everyone is going to have the same journey and we're all going to do it together. You're together as a team, but the journey is going to be, you're going to be off doing all, because it's just how it's going to be. And what you want to do versus another player, it's going to be different. So we got to figure out what that is. And we got to start working towards each one of your kind of goals of what you're trying to do. So my why, this is kind of what I do. I work with all different kinds of players and parents. So you kind of have to ask yourself this question. Where do you fall on this graph? Don't answer the question. Just kind of know, where are you in kind of your recruiting journey? Are you confident in your current recruitment plan's ability to maximize your options? Maximize options. So number one, do you have a plan? Like, is there a plan that you are actually following to get you from point A to point B? And the journey through that's going to be crazy, but we at least need to have a direction as to where we're going. Do you have that? Okay. And then we want to maximize options. I deal with parents and players that they're at the end of the journey. They're like 18U, and they're like coming to me frantic. And they're like, Luke, nothing's happening. We don't know where to go. The options aren't there. And we got talk about meltdown. Oh, I have the meltdown. And I'm like, well, we're going to do the best that we can. We're going to do the best that we can with what we got right now, but it's going to be difficult because we don't have the time. So then we get into like the what ifs, like I wish I would have. That's my conversations. What I want to do is I don't want to have that conversation with you. We want to be, we have time on our side because we're still at 16s. We have time on our side to really get going on the process. So this does not become, because in a couple of years, decisions are going to need to be made. Like it's happening for you. I was just talking with the 14Us and I'm like, hey, we have a little bit more time. And then I was talking with the 12s and I'm like, girls, we got time. Like, we're good. Like, if we just start this thing, you'll be fine. 14, 12, like, okay. 14's like, okay, we're going to start the process. 16's, it's like, we got to go, like right now. And then 18's, we're like, well, we're going to do best we can, but we're going to, we'll try to find something, but it's hard. You're in that 16 where it's like, we got to get going, because I want you to have options, not an option. Not like, this is my only option. It's options, because I want you to be the one to decide the right fit. And you got to do that. But if you only have one school, maybe you don't have any school. Maybe you have one school. But it's like, if that's your option, I don't know. Like, you're going to be like, I'm going to take the option, but I don't know. Versus if you have options, then you can be like, you can kind of be in the driver's seat of what you want, because that's an important decision for you. That's a big decision for you. So we want to make sure that we've done everything we can to making sure that this decision that you're making is the right one as best we possibly can. But we got to be doing it now, and that you feel confident in it. So that's kind of, again, that's where I come in to try to, again, help with this process. Just so you know quickly, and I'll keep going because we'll run out of time, but I have kind of a responsibility level. So Angels organization and their recruitment, and then we have a player and Angels. Who's the responsibility level? Like the percentages, where do the percentages lie on who's responsible for recruiting? I made it easy for you. We have 15% and 85%. 15% is going to be the Angels organization. 85% is going to be players and families. That's how this works. I asked Bob, I'm like, Bob, is there something that you want me to talk about? Make sure I touch on. He says, touch on this. Because it's like, sometimes we have parents that say, why isn't my daughter recruited? Why isn't this happening? And Bob's going to be like, what are you doing in the journey? Bob has already done a lot in having an Angels organization that is getting you to the tournaments, having a practice and practice facilities, all the things. And he has the relationship with the college coaches. I know that because I was side by side for the last 3 years with Bob, having conversations with Heather Tarr, Patty Gasso. They're there. I'm talking with them, asking them what's going on. How are you doing it? Why do you want it? We're having those conversations. He has those relationships, but it's not that something like you got to be doing all the things that, again, so when he has those conversations, now we're having conversations. They're there for a reason. They're there for you. They're there for a purpose. They're just not randomly showing up because they're not going to unless something has happened. So you have to just understand that. So your responsibility kind of falls over on that side, right? You're going to be the one kind of involved in all of that, which is exciting. There's a lot of moving pieces, but it's great. And here's the thing is you're already doing a lot of it already. I think a lot of times you don't even know, but you're already doing a lot of this already. So when we talk about, I mean, again, the skills, the foundation of softball skills, you're doing that, right? The skills development, the softball IQ, those are all things that you're doing. But are we doing the nutrition and recovery pieces on your bodies, making sure academic-wise that you're doing all the things that you need to do? This kind of gets into the recruiting side, setting goals, time management, all the things that you're going to have to be doing. Do you know how to talk to a college coach? If college coach shows up to you, it's like, are we prepared for that conversation? We better be. Or that your email content that you're sharing back and forth, is it right? Are you saying the right things? Let's make sure, because these are the impressions that you're leaving with these college coaches. Are you prepared for that? I think a lot of you are. It's just a matter of fine-tuning these little details to making sure that we're trying to separate ourselves from all the rest, because there's a lot of girls wanting the same thing you're wanting. How do we separate ourselves from them during this process, right? We have to do that. So I'm going to leave you with just a couple things, and then if there's questions, but you look at that, I did all the dots on that. Do I get a little bit of like, that's some good work right there? I put all the dots on. That's Division 1, 2, and 3. I did that for a reason, because do you see where the opportunities are? And I don't have NAIA and I don't have JUCO on there because that was even more dots, and I was tired of putting dots on the map. But where are the opportunities? East, right? I mean, you can kind of see, like, obviously there are opportunities, but so you have to ask yourself questions like, am I willing to move? Am I okay with that? Like, if you're not, well, then that's a whole different plan about what do we got to do to ensuring. But are you okay to move? Do you like hot weather? Do you like cold weather? Are we, what kind of weather? Looking at all kinds of things, like you have to start asking your questions on these things. But I wanted you to kind of put that in your mindset of, hey, most times you're going to probably go somewhere. Are you okay with that? I don't know. I have 3 points. Point number 1. So getting recruited does not happen by chance. You must have an individualized plan, right? It's just not going to happen where just typically the college coach just kind of shows up and you hit a home run and then you're like, oh, college coach, like, who's that? I want to go look. I want to see who that is. Like, that happens from time to time, but that's not how it works. The college coach is showing up for a reason. They're there to see you because you brought them there, because you did all the things you need to do. They're there to see you. And then obviously as coaches, we're talking with those coaches, having those conversations about you. But you got to have that plan ahead, right? So you want to make sure that's there. 2, embrace the journey, right? Expect the unexpected. Again, I kind of talked about each one of your journeys. They're going to be so different. Embrace that journey. We don't want to like wish this journey away and try to speed up the process. No, just let the journey unfold and enjoy the ride. Like, enjoy this ride as you kind of work through this, because it can be overwhelming, and you don't want to speed it up. Take it day by day. Just allow that process to kind of unfold, okay? And then 3 is players must separate themselves from the competition in all aspects. You got to separate yourselves. And I'm one that's very honest and transparent, because I feel like I'm not helping anybody if I am not honest and transparent. It's like, but you got to separate yourselves in everything that you're trying to do on the softball field and also in the recruiting process. It has to happen on both fronts. Again, to give you options. We want to give you options for what you are looking for. But first, you got to know, what are you looking for? What is it that you want? If you don't have that, then there's not a lot of places that we can go, and we're not going to get anywhere because we're just not, you don't have direction. So it's about finding direction, finding purpose, having a plan, and then we start executing the plan. And it's, this to be true, and you're old enough to know it's a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle that you've chosen. It's like, this is what I want to do, and you're doing it day in and day out. And this is one of the things that, as I work with my players and parents, we start looking at that lifestyle. Are we doing all the things that we need to do to get to where you want to go? Because we want to try to do that. What are those separators that we need to be doing? We're always talking about that all the time. Okay? So I'm going to leave it at that, because we have 25 minutes and hardly any amount of time. On this sheet, you have a lot of my services of what I do. I have a QR code. You can, if you want to talk more about you, and I can see what you're looking for and how I can best help you. You have all my contact information, and parents, you have it as well. If you are interested in what I have to offer, great, because I'm passionate about helping players get to the next level because I've been through it. But what questions can I answer for you? Specific to you or something that you may have that we can get it all out right now and talk about it.
So I would say, for most of us, I think this is our first journey through this process with our firstborn kiddo or our only softball player.
Yep.
So for the mechanisms that we understand to reach out to Coach T to get on their radar is pretty much strictly sports recruits. So we go through that process, but it's almost shooting in the dark for the most part. We don't know if they, with the exception of a profile view or a generic email, because they're 16, they're not getting D1s and D2s at this point that can actually talk to them.
Yep.
What is the best avenue to highlight, as you mentioned, these kids to get on these coaches' radars? Aside of, obviously just going to the camp.
Right.
Some can be money grabs, some are not interested, or some are. What are things that they can do, or parents can do, to assist in highlighting their kids on the radar?
And that's the recruiting. That's a big part of the recruitment side. Is how do we get in front of those coaches? How do they start to see us? Because they're getting inundated, but you know how many hundreds of emails they're getting every single day. So we have to start talking about how do we go about the email process, and what kinds of content is in that email. So because we want to not only when you talk about separating yourselves, what's in that email that is separating your email from others, that it looks differently from others. We got to try to find what that is, and obviously. I felt we've done a good job when we're working with Crimson and kind of going through this process of, and what are they looking for? How do they want it? Sports Recruits is great. It's a great avenue. It's a good platform to have where you have, all your videos. It's a place where they can go to kind of quickly see some videos, some little bit highlights, a little bit of bio, a little bit of whatever. But when it comes to those emails, my biggest advice, number one, is again, you don't know if they open it or not. Like there's a lot of like, I don't know if they saw it or not. And we don't know, but here's a couple things. One, we want to make sure that you're emailing all of the coaches on that list, because the head coach is not always opening those emails. So a lot of times the head coach isn't even responsible for the recruitment part of the recruiting. She's the closer. The assistant coaches are going to funnel these players through that they've been watching and grooming and looking at. And then she's the one that's going to make the decision at the end. But if you're the one spending all the time emailing the head coach, and that's where your email went, she may not even be seeing that at all. So then it's like that email that you just sent is going nowhere. Some may be opening those emails. It just depends. But you want to be emailing, which takes a little bit more time. Now you're emailing the coaches. And a lot of times, and I would say especially early on, is you want to individualize that email to the coach. Head coach got the email, we sent it. Use that same type of format that you just used. We're going to now send it to the assistant coach, but now with a little bit of a, more of assistant flair to it. Let's send it to them, send it to them, send it to them. That's a little bit more time consuming, but we need to know first who is kind of that person that's going to be opening those emails. And when we don't know, we need to be over emailing these people, which just adds more to the more of the emails. I understand. But you want to make sure that email is getting to where it needs to go. So that's number one, is making sure we touch all bases there. Eventually, sometimes they will respond back. They'll give you, hey, keep up the great work. Or, hey, we'd love to have you come to the camp. These are all really good little signs because they can't really talk to you, but they can say a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's a good sign. As you start getting to know these coaches, you kind of start knowing who is opening these emails, who's not. Then you kind of start thinking, this is the coach that I need to be sending these emails to. I'm getting a little bit more traction here. Now we have clearer pictures of where these emails need to go. I can tell you this too. I think it's better that you email from Sports Recruits is great because you email out of that platform, which is fine. I say sometimes though, on the back end, you want to be emailing the actual coach's email. So from your email account to their email account. So whatever they have on their website, like it is their email, your email address to their email address, and there's no system in between. And then you can put your Sports Recruits profile link into that email. So not emailing out of Sports Recruits, emailing from an account to an account with your sports, so that if they want to look at a video, they have all of that. But now we're going right to their account from their school. We know they're going to check that. That's typically, as I talk to coaches, that is you know that is the one place they're checking, is that email address. So some of these other sports recruits or NCSA or whatever it is, they get inundated. It's not as clean of a process for them. So go right at the source. So you might want to, which then this takes a little bit more time. This is a little bit more time, but you want, again, we want to be smart with, what we're doing here. And then it gets into the content. What are we putting into the content of this email that really kind of emphasizes and allows, and I'll give you one feedback on that one. You want to make sure that it's not all about you. You want to show that you're interested in them, because most of the times they're getting these emails that are just like cut and pasted, and they're just like, it's like, I love your program, it's awesome, here's all about me, and boom. It's like, well, they've seen millions of those emails. Separate it out. You want it to be more purposeful, more specific to that coach, and pulling in information that you are doing your research on that coach, on that program. This isn't something that is mass email that you're just sending off. There's specific things that you are pulling into this email that says you're paying attention. And I know what's going on. You have a sense of the culture. You have the sense of what's going on, which that's on social media. You're following every single one of these programs on social media. You're actively involved in a lot of these things. You're starting to pull all of that into your email. So it becomes very more of a personalized email and not something that's just some generic email that you're just sending. So you have to spend time crafting, which I work with. That's what we do too, is how do we craft these emails that are specific to what the college coaches are going to want to hear. We're talking about you, but trust me, college coaches love to know, like, if you're talking about their program and how you love it and you're bringing in things that they're doing, they love to hear that stuff. So we want to make sure this email is a good email. With that all said, that's a lot of work. And we're just talking just on emails, and every email is going to be different. So I understand that. And on top of that, it's like they're not responding to you. And you're like you just give up. You're kind of like this, like, I just threw it into the dark hole of emails and I have no idea if they saw it or not. And you won't know, really. But that's where I come in. I'm saying, listen, it's okay. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing. It's okay. This is normal. You've got to keep kind of going through this process. And there's other ways where we can kind of start getting attention to this, but this is very important, these communications. So a little bit of feedback on, and there's a lot more that we can do to try to just separate things out on how these emails go and how communications, but don't give up. That's going to be my number one message, is just because you're sending it and they don't respond back to you, it does not mean they didn't read it. It does not mean, and you got to be consistent. Do not just send one email. If this is a program that you're wanting, you want to start sending emails. And so when I work with my players, we are on a schedule. And I'm making sure that those emails are coming out. Why? Because that's what we have to do. These emails have to be going out. I'm going to look at it. Perfect email. We get on a structured process to making sure these emails are being sent and done right, to give us the best chance for them to read it and see it. So then when you show up to a camp, we've got some things hopping, because they may have never responded to you, but they've been reading those emails. And there's things that then I prepare you for the camp, because I know you guys are going to camps. But you look at everybody at the camp. How many people are at the camps? 50, 100, you name it, they're there. There's ways to separate yourself from on the field, but things that should have been happening before you even show up to that camp, to separate yourself. So when you show up, it's time well spent and money well spent from parents. It's a time that we're maximizing our time at that camp. Hopefully that's helpful. Yeah. And there's a lot more where that comes from, because there's just a lot of pieces to it. But was that helpful? Good. You guys, I'm telling you what, and I follow most of you guys on Instagram. You guys are doing great. You're a part of the right organization. You have the right coaching staff. You are doing some great things, and trust the process. Keep grinding through. It's going to happen for you. You just got to find the right fit for you. You just got to keep going, and it will. But it's going to pay off. I guarantee you it's going to pay off if you're doing the things that you need to do.